We just covered Shiny, and Shiny is a sledgehammer when it comes to creating interactive graphics and dynamic web pages and things like that relative to what I'm going to talk about now, this function manipulate. Manipulate's just a nifty little package in RStudio, and if you want to create a quick dynamic graphic, you can't beat Manipulate for doing this. Anyway, my name is Brian Caffo. I am a professor in the Department of Biostatistics at the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, and this class, along with the data products, entire data products class and Coursera data science specialization is co-taught with my co-instructors Jeff Leake and Roger Pang. Okay, so let's talk about Manipulate. Manipulate is if you just have to create a quick interactive graphic or interactive table or something like that, and you've got to do it now. Like, you don't want to put a second of thought into it. The intended users for your function or whatever are also using RStudio and nothing else. At any rate, so Manipulate is a really cool solution that's often all you need. Okay, so the other thing I would mention is Manipulate. This is going to be a short lecture because Manipulate's about as well documented as it needs to be at this RStudio documentation there. Basically, you just have to install Manipulate, which is on CRAN, so you do install.packages, and just try. Here's the simplest Manipulate function that you could do, and what it boils down to is here's the trick. So here's the one-line code for the plot 1 to x, and here x is a placeholder, and it's saying take the possible values where it's going to have a slider that goes from 1 to 100, and you can use your mouse to move that slider along, and then it will replace that value of x and redo the plot. That whole statement is embedded within a Manipulate function. And then you can create almost all the the standard checkboxes, pickers, drop-down menus, standard things. So here's an example of some code that I used from a different class. You do library manipulate. I like to create a new plotting function so that it's only one function. So like when I say my hist, I don't have a bunch of commands in my manipulate statement. So here's my hist for my histogram function. It only depends on this. What I want to do is create a histogram function, and I want to create a slider that moves a horizontal bar, a vertical bar around back and forth, right, to show where the mean is and what the value of summation xi minus mu quantity squared is, divided by n, and that would be the mean squared error for that particular value of mu. And I just want to use it to illustrate that as I move that slider around, as mu gets closer to x bar, then you get closer to the minimum mean squared error. Okay, so that's what I'd like to do. Let's just go ahead and run this code. All right, let's do this. Okay, so here I'm going to try library manipulate. Good. And then I'm going to create my hist. Bam. All right, and manipulate. Errors. Oh, data set's not loaded. So I'm going to do library using R. Aha, now let's try it again. There we go. All right, here's my histogram. And here's my little slider. See, I can move the slider around. It redoes the plot, and you can see my value of mu changing and my mean squared error changing. There we go. So just that easy to create a slider. The documentation goes through it, but honestly, it's so simple that you probably don't need to commit a lot of things to memory. Just go back to the documentation every time you need it. Anyway, like you can see here, is if someone else is using RStudio and you want to show them something interactive quickly, it's way better to do it this way than to create a Shiny app or something more complicated.